Hey everybody, Dad on Two Wheels here, and I wanted to bring you guys a little informational video that I know is going to help some people out. I'm going to explain tuning the carburetor for the KTM 50SX, Husqvarna TC50, and the Gas Gas MC50. This will be a short, informative video, hopefully help you fix the problem with how your bike is running. Something to check before you start tuning this is make sure your air filter is good and make sure your spark plug is good. We don't want a fouled spark plug for this. If you have a fresh spark plug, throw a fresh spark plug in, throw a fresh air filter in. Make sure that the two easy things to check, your spark and air, are not going to encumber this process at all. You want to eliminate that from the equation when tuning your carburetor. Before we talk about tuning any of these options, if you don't know when the last time your carburetor was cleaned or inspected, my first recommendation is going to be to remove the carburetor from the bike by loosening these two screws, removing from the airbox tube back here and removing from the reeds. I already have this very loose and I don't have a throttle cable mounted in here currently. Once you have removed the carburetor from the bike, you'll notice the 4 screws on the bottom of the float bowl. Take those out and then you can disassemble everything inside very easily and clean it out. If you guys want to see more information on that, I can make a short video. However, I think that part's pretty simple. Get some carb cleaner. You can get that cleaned out. Once you're sure that your carb is clean and everything on the inside is up to spec, now you can move on to this part. There's 2 screws involved with tuning the carburetor. The first one is this bronze screw, which is the fuel mixture screw. The second one is the silver screw with a spring on it, which is the idle air screw. You'll sometimes hear this referred to as the idle screw or the air screw, and this referred to as the fuel screw. Some people get this mixed up. This is straight from the owner's manual. This one adjusts your fuel mixture. This one adjusts the idle or the air. The first thing that you want to do when tuning this bike or seeing if this is the reason why your bike is not running or starting well is take this bronze screw and you want to just put a screwdriver in and you want to screw it all the way in until it stops. I'm going to leave mine adjusted here because I have just set it and I know exactly where it needs to be set. But you're going to screw the bronze fuel mixture screw all the way in until it stops. Do the same thing with the idle screw. Turn it all the way in until it stops. The default starting position for the fuel mixture screw is 3 turns out from all the way tight. So what you're going to do, I will demonstrate a full turn out here. So let's say your screw is in this position. 1 full turn is taking this side of the screwdriver and going all the way around until it's out. That's 1 rotation. You want to do that 3 total times. Having it 3 screws out puts it in the default position according to the manual. This is the best position to start tuning the bike. If you have to back out further to get the bike to start properly, this is likely not your problem. Now that you have this backed out 3 full turns, do the same with this. Now the owner's manual doesn't specifically state where this should be backed out to. The owner's manual only references the fuel mixture screw. However, in all my troubleshooting and testing, I found that if you start it backed out 3 turns, you'll likely get very good results when you start tuning your carburetor for your location. Now that you have this done, you want to make sure that your fuel is turned on, so you have fuel in your carburetor, and then you can begin starting the bike. I recommend doing this when it's cold in order to get optimal results in the beginning. If you're watching this, it's likely you're having problems starting the bike. The method that I found that works best when tuning is to take the kickstart and intentionally push slow through through the complete stroke so that you do not start the bike. Once you have it pushed all the way through, bring the kickstart back up and then give it a smash as hard as you can. That's the technique that I've used to make this bike a one-start bike. You can use the choke if you need to. All bikes have different characteristics. I recommend trying with the choke the first time. So depending on the fuel mixture and the condition of your carburetor, this will likely get your bike starting almost immediately. Next step is going to be adjusting the fuel mixture screw. We're not going to adjust the idle air screw just yet. Let the bike warm up for about a minute. Then you can start introducing some revs into the motor to where it's calmed down. And this part will really come into the feel of the throttle. The amount of smoke you see being burned will be an indication of how much fuel that you have. What I like to start doing is going in half turns in the beginning. Say we're 3 turns all the way out. What I'm gonna do is do a half a turn. I'm gonna let it idle for a little bit, give it a couple revs, hear how it sounds. Look for the smoke. If I think it's too much smoke based off how I know this bike runs, or I think that the bike sounds a little rough, I will adjust it another half turn. And I'll repeat this process until the bike revs freely and the amount of smoke being burned is the amount that I expect to see for this bike. Once I get to the place I need to be, I will then fine tune the fuel mixture by going quarter turns, which you can see here. I believe for this bike, I'm probably a full turn and a quarter in. So I'll start tuning in quarters until I get the bike to sound like I know it should and produce the amount of smoke that I know it should. Final step to making sure the bike runs properly is going to be this idle screw here. Air screw, idle screw, that's going to be the next step. When the bike is running, you want to start turning this screw out. So you want to bring it closer to you by turning counterclockwise, like so. And you want to adjust this until the idle starts to drop. When you get to the point where the idle starts to drop, you want to turn it back in about a corner turn and make sure the idle is level where you need it to be. And this will ensure that you have the proper adjustment on your air screw. I hope that these tips help you get your bike running better. Again, if this tuning strategy does not make your bike run better, then we likely have another problem with the bike somewhere. If this video has helped you, please give us a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some future videos of Noah ripping this bad boy. Thank you.